So thanks for coming to the Zoom meeting for November 2nd. In 4 days is the first tournament starts, and then it's like every week except Thanksgiving until December 19th, which is the last sectional event. Today we're gonna, we kind of want to talk about what teams should expect at the tournament, kind of our structure, the structure. This is also repeated in the newsletter. We'll talk a little bit about events, a bit about gracious professionalism, and then the last topic I wanted to talk about was the new consent and release forms. And then we'll open it up to questions. Some we may know, some we may not, especially if it's about a specific tournament. And I know, that the tournaments are working on, getting everything scheduled and everything like that, set up, especially if it's not this weekend, the next weekend. And up until this past weekend, we still were kind of messing around with, I was still messing around, putting different teams, different places. And, but now it's kind of final, except when we have for our December 11th tournament, we still have places open. That's an in-person in Tony, Wisconsin. So that would be the only one that we could add people to, and that's it. Then Bobby is our new tournament director for this year for that tournament. So, so we'll start by talking about the tournament day. It does look different than previous years. We are kind of doing a 2 to 2.5 hour cycle. So we're going to bring 8 teams in. 4 will be going through judging, 4 will be doing reffing. And I'll let Brian talk about that a little bit more. It will be up to the tournament to basically give you an exact start time. We were kind of pushing 8 o'clock, but that is kind of up to the discretion of the tournaments, because maybe they can't get into the venues and that kind of stuff when that would happen. So we're kind of saying about a half an hour before your time slot. Let's see. So for spectators, we're saying 2 spectators per team member plus 1 spectator for each coach. So if it's a team of 10, then you have 20 spectators for the team plus 2 coaches, and it's 22 people beyond your 12th team member that can come. Yeah, we will have the robot competition. It'll have the tables, it'll have the cameras, the big screens, so people can be sitting out, away from the tables and watch the action that's happening on the tables. And I think I'll let Brian kind of go into a little bit more about the judging schedule. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, rewind me just a second because somebody was interrupting me.
Oh, that's okay. I can.
So where were we in this discussion so I can hop in the right spot?
I told him you would talk about judging that, and the only thing I said is there would be teams starting, 4 teams going to judging and 4 teams going to robot game. So
yeah, so basically we have 4 teams in judging, the other 4 in robot game, and then we flip. Okay, so kind of as the schedule shows. In this case, we have team 1 through 4 at 8 o'clock, and teams 6, 7, and 8, 5, 6, 7, and 8 at 8 o'clock for robot games, and then at 9 o'clock we start robot games, and then judging we may pull it in a little bit to the 9 o'clock instead of 9:15, but it's the same basic block schedule that'll be worked on. Now, if we start getting into odd number teams, we may do some additional things for moving things around, but this is the basic block schedule we're looking at from having people in the venue.
So
you go into the before and after? yet, or?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I know Lisa talked about volunteer or how many additional people can be there. We're with this, we're trying to limit the number of people in the venue at a given time because some of the venues care, and we want a consistent feeling and experience for the tournaments. So we ask that you be at the tournament really no earlier than half an hour before and no later than half an hour after your scheduled block. So if you look at team one, they would be scheduled from 8 to basically getting done at 9:45. So really, they 7:30 to 10:15 would kind of be the time block that we would want them in the facility.
I guess the other thing about the tournament is most tournaments will have light refreshments. So that there'll be drinks and some snacks for the kids to purchase if you need to. No real lunch food, just because you're not staying over lunch.
And those tend to be fundraisers for the tournament organizing teams or other teams. So you're really supporting other FRC teams typically when you get the concessions.
Yeah. Any questions on this? I know,
Sorry, I just took it down. So we do have a question in chat already, and I think this is a fair question. Not sure what we'll cover, but how and when will we get our schedule for the day? I assume you mean your tournament, your actual tournament block, because they need to order buses. So.
All right. So Angela, I will get you in contact with the tournament director for that event, and you guys can work it out together. Sound good?
Yeah, and I'm not sure, I don't know who, are you, you're not Lisa, are you?
Yes, I am.
You are Lisa, okay. So I'm the one with Silverbrook. We have 2 middle schools and we are sharing a mentor. So
Yes.
I don't even know yet where my location ended up being. So, and I'm not
You
sure.
are, yeah, okay. I will get you after the event and get an email to you.
After this meeting, you mean?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, what did I say? I'm sorry.
After the
Yes, after this call.
Fifth grade, I translate well, you're good.
So
Yep.
Emily, looking at your question, so the teams really get to see other teams, robots, games at all. You'll get to see other teams in your block of 4 in that scenario. Their robot runs, but unfortunately, the way it's constrained this year, you're not going to be able to see all the teams. In a normal year, you would get to see, all the other. You'd be able to, find time to see all the other teams' robots, but it's not going to work out that way this year.
As far as the ending ceremony, will there be like a YouTube link sent out?
So we will have it on the YouTube, on the Wisconsin FLL YouTube channel. Yes, and there'll be a live link, and we will make sure that it gets sent out to, that the tournament directors have it, just get it sent out. We are going to, besides this weekend, most of our weekends have 2 tournaments on the same day. So, there'll be a staggering of when those closing ceremonies will be. So I can't give you just like, it'll be 5 o'clock every time because of, 2 events happening on the same day. But we will stagger them, and your event host will be able to tell. Should be communicating that to you.
Thank you.
Yep.
So I can
When
tell, go ahead, Jen.
I was gonna say, when we went to the scrimmage over the weekend, we had some struggle on getting into a practice table right away because we were going robot first. So is there any potential for prioritization for people who do robot first to get on those practice tables? Because this arguably, after judging, the second group can immediately practice before their event. Or is it just first come, first serve?
We did change up a little bit at scrimmage, and this is the reason we do have these. One of the other tournament directors was there and actually made a good point of why don't we just let the teams that once you're on the table, you can stay there and do your practicing and tweaking on the competition table. And I'm pretty sure we'll have more tables than what we had at scrimmage too. So Lisa, what
Okay.
I'm sorry, Brian, what do you know what we're planning on having? Are we going to have, so if we have 4 tables for competition, have we decided what we're doing for practice yet? 4, 8, something like that?
I was planning to issue each team their own practice table at Marquette.
I think that's what EO was looking at too. So
Oh, okay, that's amazing. Yeah, it made it a little bit crazy. And I know Emily said it, there wasn't really much time in the middle, but you're saying that we can stay on the table then? We can expect to stay and iterate on the table
yeah,
between matches?
yeah, we were, like I said, you guys understand, we are still trying to put all this stuff together. We got a lot of good info on our side as well. So I think rather than, and I think we told Emily as well. So once you guys get to the table, and we're going to bring you guys up as soon as we can, if there's, 15 minutes ahead of time, you can come up, do your calibrating, stuff like that. And then once you're in your block of time, you can stay at the table until your third run is done. So you could stay there, you can go back to a practice table, you can go to your pit, whatever you guys feel like you want to do, but we will let you keep the table until your block is done.
Okay,
made
yeah,
sure-
that was amazing to be able to stay on the table. I think that really helped with the iteration process.
One of the things too, we may actually change who you go back to back with for your
Right.
matches. So with that, we may have you swap tables, but we're not going to send you away, go away for a long time and come back. It's more like swap you over to a different table, with a quick wipe down in between kind of thing.
For those of us who are super new, can you explain to us so those 3 rounds, they run their missions, they have time in between to make adjustments,
Yes.
they run it again. Is there, so I'm from the forensics world where things are super duper delineated out. This is a little off, out of my comfort zone. So is there a specific amount of minutes that they have to do that? Like, are there rules and regulations around what they can and can't do in that time?
Between rounds. So there won't be rules and regulations other than, don't take our stuff apart. But as far as, you can treat it just like a practice table. That we're just trying to give the teams more time to make any tweaks they need to make, rather than taking your stuff and going over to a practice table that may or may not be in the same area, the time between. And I think the way we had it the other day, it worked pretty well. I believe we are going to have your exact times to start for each round. So,
So
And-
if you can
and-
give me an idea, so a round would consist of,
oh, I'm sorry.
like, can you just kind of,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if everybody else.
No problem.
Make my own meat.
No.
Yeah, I'll do my best. And if Brian, if you need to jump in here, if I'm saying something wrong about the schedule, but so we're going to try to bring you guys to the table as soon as we can, but even before your block starts, right? And then you'll have a specific time. It'll be marked on the sheet that will tell you this is when round 1 starts. Now that's no different than a regular tournament where we call you up and we try to start on your time mark. The game will, with your inspection, the round, the scoring, we're looking at probably 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes. So then you'll have the time after that round and before your next round to do whatever tweaking you want to do. And as Brian did say, if we're in a situation where we're switching you to another table, you can just go right to the other table. So you won't have to go away. We're trying to keep you guys on a table as long as we can to give you as much time to make changes.
And the teams can do a new mission if they want to. I mean, there's no
Sure.
regulation that they can't.
And we'll have practice tables. If you guys need to get away from the practice table and go do something, that you're not on tournament tables, you're welcome to do that.
Yeah, you may want to do that just to get,
Yeah.
if you had a bad round or something, you might
Yeah.
want to pop them over there just to give them a different,
Sure, and since I've never been, okay, I've never
Perspective.
been before. Are we looking at 3 minutes or 20 minutes? How long is it between rounds? How
So
long do they have to make adjustments?
yeah, so this year's completely different than other years. Okay. So this year, the way it's set, we kind of set at the beginning. So we set like 0, 20 minutes and 40 minutes as the markers in your 45-minute block. Okay. So if you think of round one, there would be 8 round, so if team 5 round 1 would be 8 o'clock, round 2 was 8:20, I think, and the round 3 was 8:40, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, something like that.
And that seemed to be reasonable paced. And we'd love to give you more time in between to iterate, but with the schedule, we just don't have it. We hope to get back to, the normal schedule of, minimum of hour round to round, but we don't have that right now. But that's part of keeping it consistent, at least.
At the scrimmage, when we were practicing on the table, the judge or the referee did not let the team like reset up the missions. Will that be the same sort of situation that teams can expect? You said you'll have us still staying on our table even to practice. Will it, that's just something that we could prep our team for. I didn't know if it was like less touching of pieces because of COVID, or if.
Okay, yeah, we'll address that as well. So we did make a change. The initial thought was we don't generally allow practice sessions. You generally get a few minutes on a competition table at a real tournament, but we made a change after the first team or the first couple teams were up, where we decided, let's just let them stay here. So that they should be able to, well, they will be able to obviously reset models and stuff. If you're going to practice there, you can reset your models. Yeah.
Yep, but we should have the referee check over and make sure everything's reset properly before the
Yes.
actual round, before that timer goes off. Because we want to make sure that the field is set up the way the refs want them to be set up, or they're supposed to be set up per first.
And so our thought is, and what we were doing the other day is since you have your table for the block in general, after the team is done, we were sanitizing everything pretty much that was touched. So as best we could, I guess I should say that.
Thank you, that's helpful.
So when we were at the scrimmage this weekend, we had 15 minutes between the first run and the second run, and then only like 4.5 minutes between the second and the third run. What's going to be done to make sure that we have like the full 10 to 14 minutes or whatever between runs, as long as everything's on schedule? Like our team was kind of shocked they only had 4 minutes between the second and the third run.
So was your second run starting late? I don't remember specifically what the situation was there.
Like, so they told us the first, I don't remember exactly the time that the first run started. But then they said, we have until, what was it, 2:25 to start the second run. And then the next run started at like 2:40. So, but it took a while to go through the inspection and everything. So then by the end, after the 2.5 minutes and the time for the inspection and stuff, we only had like, I don't remember if it was 4 or 6 minutes, but it was under 10 minutes, where the first time they had like a full 15 minutes between the two runs. So I don't know if you're counting time for the inspection and stuff, but.
Well, I'll tell you, this is how it goes at regular tournaments too. Sometimes we're a couple minutes ahead, sometimes we're a couple minutes behind, and we're going to try to stay on schedule. Eric will tell you, I'm pretty big about trying to stay exactly on time as much as I can. So we will try to stay on the scheduled times. There's no guarantee it's going to be starting a minute, a couple minutes here or there.
I was going to say,
we'll do our best.
You're not guaranteed any time between when you end and when you start. So, the referees need to score the field correctly, and that's the most important part. But other than that, they'll try to start you on time. But there's going to be no guarantee to the teams that they actually have time to practice or do extra work. There's a little bit of gap in time there, but I don't know that we can guarantee anything.
Yeah, if it happens that you're on the table and there's another team that's having an issue and they can't start exactly on time, gracious professionalism, we will wait for the other team to be ready, even if it takes an extra minute or two. We won't have them forfeit the match. You know, if it's
Within-
something
within reason,
catastrophic and
yeah.
they're not, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If it's something catastrophic and they're not gonna be ready in the next 5 minutes, then, you know, we'll do what we have to do at that point. But we're gonna try. I mean, I really do, and all the referees, we really do try to get you guys started as close to exactly on time as we possibly can. So that's the best I can give you.
I can say that from our dismal experience. We came in with a robot that wasn't even our core robot, and we started off really, really bad. And even with the short time between matches, we were able to improve our score by 100 points. So there is something that kids can do in those short periods of time, even if, you know, it's not perfect. It's still better than nothing between the matches and going back to back to back.
Yeah, we get it. I mean, a normal tournament for you guys that are haven't been there, there's basically an hour between your matches. So you go to your tournament table, then you go back to your pits or the practice tables and make your tweaks there. I mean, there's just not the capacity to do that this year. We're within a certain time, you know, we're basically doing a bunch of little bitty, you know, tournaments at a time and then putting them all together. So. But like I said, we promise we'll do the best we can to keep it on time. I'm big about time too, so.
Can you give us a little bit of an idea? So the components that would have normally been associated with the core values, where they would have done more of a project with the core values, or they would have done those, you know, impromptu problem solvings and things like that. With that all being gone, do you want them to work on embedding core value in language and talking about their core values in their presentations? Or are we relying on the judges to sort of recognize those in watching them work?
Well, I think, you know, a key thing is, you know, when you talk about project and you talk about how you became a part of the project and who did the research and how you know, who worked on the robot and programmed it and things like that, you know, making sure that they understand, you know, from like the discovery and the innovation and things like that go on. Okay, to you know, to have that be part of your presentation. You don't have to say, well, we innovated on this, you know, in specific keywords, right? But if you make sure to cover that, okay, so that make sure the judges have that information, okay, you know, the fun and stuff, you know, hopefully bleeds through is how they do it. But the judges, we do have a judge looking for that through those areas. And they're not, you know, taught to say, well, they didn't say we learned this, so, you know, so, but they're looking for, you know, those areas. Okay, but anything you can obviously do to make it clear, okay, does help.
Along those lines, you guys said that the referee at the robot table would also be kind of commenting on core values to some level, and that was not written anywhere on the info we got from the scrimmage. So how does that look differently than in a actual competition?
Yeah, so there'll be a way on basically the score sheet for the judges to make a comment on the core values, and it's really, think of it this as a checkbox of, you know, how you're doing on it, and that is taken into and accounted for in the judging process. Okay,
But what about
in the deliberation, the awards process. Okay, so we didn't end up doing that at the scrimmage, but we will be doing that at the tournaments. Okay, and we didn't actually go through the whole deliberation process at the scrimmage. We just did the judging for you. We didn't do the awards determinations. But that's a good point, Jay. We should make sure that gets on the
Yep.
score sheets.
It's in the works.
Okay.
Yep.
It's already being tweaked for this weekend, so.
That's right. You're doing that on FL tournament, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions about the tournament day?
I have another question. So as far as in the presentation, there's the innovation project presentation, which, you know, I'm a new coach this year and most of our team is new. We understand like a lot of people do like skits or, you know, fun presentations rather than just standing up there and talking. For the robot design presentation, is that also something people make like skits for? Or is that something a little bit more like, here's our information, this is how we did it? Or is that completely open up to however you want it to be?
It's really up to the teams. It doesn't have to be the same type of presentation that you do for innovation project. So it's probably more the, you know, it's called an explanation, not a presentation as much. So it's really going through the features and capabilities of that robot. And well, it's not just a robot. It's actually, you know, the mechanical build, the programming, but also gets into the strategy.
Okay, so with that, too, when the kids, I mean, you guys have said more than once, like the judge, you can't hand anything to the judges and they won't have time to read anything anyways. And you could put something like on a poster, but they're not gonna have time to read it. So like, how are the kids supposed to present what the code looks like if the judges won't have time to read anything? I'm really confused about that, because at the scrimmage, we tried to hand them something and that didn't go over well. So I guess that's where I'm confused at how do they show what the code looks like if they can't actually show what the code looks like?
Well, you could do it on like presentation boards. You can talk through it without actually potentially showing it. Some teams might bring in a laptop and show it on a laptop. But it's going to have to be the high level parts of in that, you know, 5 minutes or so, and they'll follow up.
How would you show them on a laptop then? Because like, I'm confused at the scrimmage, you know, like the kids were just standing in front of a classroom. There was nothing to set. They said you couldn't set anything on the judging table. So I don't get how you would show on I mean, the screens are so tiny. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just missing something here, but.
Well, you have, if I may suggest, so what we do as part of our presentation is we bring in a laptop. You are completely correct in saying that it's a small screen, but one of our kids or multiple of our kids walks through several steps to explain what the code is. You know, you're right. They probably can't see the screen very well, but this is the opportunity to kind of detail how some of the code works.
And having that code in front of them will help the kids remember a little bit what they want to cover. And remember, as they go through explaining the programming, you know, don't start with block 1 to block 2 to block 3. Find the most interesting parts and really tell about those, why they're interesting, what makes them, you know, the cool thing or the innovative thing or the game changer for your team.
You want to highlight the stuff that that makes you stand out. Like you want to highlight if you're doing change logs, highlight that. If you're doing coding or comment on your coding, make sure you mention that. If you're doing my blocks, make sure you're showing my blocks, stuff like that. You know, anything that makes it stand out or makes it more than just a straight coding, you want to show that. If you definitely mention the sensors you're using, if you're using your gyro, you know, how you learn to program it, you know, anything that you can to make it more than just regular.
Mm-hmm. And you might want to talk about why you're using those sensors and
right.
how.
The kids should understand what they're using. If they're saying we're using this, they should know why they're using it, right?
Yeah, we did good in the scrimmage on like what parts to talk about, because you guys talked about that last week on the coaching call, which was really helpful. We just, I guess where we got caught up was like how to visually show it while they talked about it, because we printed it off on paper to hand out, and that, you know, like I said, we couldn't they like, it just, they wouldn't take it or look at it because they were not supposed to, so.
Yeah, there's no time for, so honestly, if I'm going to give my opinion, if I were coaching, what I would do is I would put it on a board and just have it as a demonstrative, set it in front of the kids and, you know, they're going to see it, right? So just blow it up on a board. That's what I would personally do. But people do it different ways. And then they will see your coding. They're not going to have time to sit there and look at everything on your board. But, you know, maybe you can show the highlights, like I said, the my blocks and the commenting and stuff like that.
Yeah. Walk them through the major parts of that board at least.
It puts it in front of their face. And it's you're not relegated then to a little 15-inch screen. Unfortunately, I mean, there's just not a lot of time anymore. And this was going to happen before COVID. This change was meant to be before COVID even happened. So
yep, they were piloting it the year before. So we knew this was coming.
And we do have another good question. We kind of touched on this last week, and I don't know if we got an answer yet, but about the team info sheets. Are we leaving?
No,
those
we
with the
do not
judges?
need it.
Okay.
Nope. Team info sheets are no longer used.
Yeah,
There you go.
I did actually finally get around to responding back to that on yesterday or today in the
Okay, cool.
Slack. But
All right, anything else about the tournament days? Questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, so I did put this also in the newsletter, is just a blurb about gracious professionalism. You know, as our events begin Saturday, we expect gracious professionalism out of, you know, not only your teams and you guys, but also any spectators, and that, you know, we really encourage the high quality work, valuing each other, respecting everybody. And we are gracious professionalisms, and I think we should go out and have a great tournament if we all remember that. So beyond that is new for this year. First is requiring all of us partners to go out and collect our own consent and release forms from all the teams and the team members. We
And
will be
volunteers.
doing our best. What? Sorry.
and the volunteers.
And the volunteers, exactly. So I put the link. I'm trying to do it via online and then checking it before the tournaments. You know, what our goal is that you guys don't have to do any paperwork or bring any paperwork, that it would be done ahead of time. So I encourage you to try and get that done as much as possible. We will have some paper forms at needed if at events if needed. Also, we will have signs just saying that, you know, anybody comes in could have their picture taken. And by coming into our event, you agree to that. So you don't know what a consent release form is. So basically, it's a form that basically says that you're attending our event, kind of a hold harmless, and we have the right to take pictures at the event of, you know, your teams. And I know Marquette, I think Eric, your event takes the pictures and then you do a big slideshow, right?
Yeah, I do have photographers lined up, at least positions to do that. We do like to get the pictures. The teams really seem to enjoy having that. We will distribute it to the teams. I don't know if we're going to be able to do anything for the closing ceremonies with that, just because it's on YouTube. I know there's some disclosure issues around that, but we'll kind of talk about that offline. But yeah, so we'll do photography. Whether that'll be included in the final closing ceremonies is to be determined, but we'll definitely try to get as many pictures as possible. Although everybody's wearing masks at Marquette, that is going to be a requirement at our venue. So I'm not sure about if their face is covered, it may not be an issue. So.
Oh, okay, great. So then any Marquette 13th or 14th, all visitors, all teams, et cetera, everybody has to wear mask, vaccination or not. Correct?
Regardless of vaccination, it's a building requirement. So
Awesome. That's helpful to know, because that's a practice helper.
Yeah, if you're in a Marquette tournament, my intention is to get, the communications out pretty much by the weekend here, at least some initial communications to all teams on what's going on. I'm hoping to have schedules out by Monday for the actual schedule. Depends on Lisa and how fast she adds any last minute teams. But
Nope.
I think we're locked in. I know.
We are kind of locked in. If it would be, I would be adding to the Flambeau, the Western Wisconsin
Okay.
at this point.
Yeah, at this point, so if we're locked in, I'm gonna be sending out broadcast messages to teams, and then we'll open up. We have kind of a email support question mailbox we monitor up to the tournaments, so if there's any particular questions. But usually I'm pretty good at covering. It's a little different this year. Obviously, it's not our normal schedule, so I can't really use my previous templates for all the previous years. But we'll try. I think we're gonna do our best. A little bit different this year at Marquette. We're not doing it in the gym. We don't have access to that, so we're gonna be using it. What's called the blue and gold room. So it's a fairly large room, so it'll be fine for what we're doing.
Is there anyone here representing the LTC one? That's the one we were assigned to. I don't know, Lisa, if we got moved or not.
You got moved. I just looked it up. You're moved to Marquette.
Okay, then never mind.
So I'll be connecting you with Eric.
Yep, I'm tournament director for Saturday. I'm onboarding a new tournament director for Sunday. So, but I'll still be kind of watching over the whole thing. So,
and I don't mean to ask such an obvious question, but just so if we're coming with 3 teams,
Yep.
they will be scheduled within the same 8 block.
You have, so what I'd ask is that you request that, so we try to get that put in the schedule.
I mean, otherwise all of our spectators are there for both chunks of time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I kind of have to work closely with Brian, but I can definitely try to accommodate that request. It would, yeah. I mean, if possible, well, that again, I don't want to promise anything at this point. So,
I'm not concerned about like.
Yeah, I think let's, definitely. It's not uncommon for me to get requests like that, where I also deal with the 4-H club and some other clubs that have to come at certain times together. So that's not an uncommon request.
The 3 teams that I'm responsible for, if you had 2 teams in that 9 a.m. chunk and 1 team in that afternoon chunk, it defeats the purpose of us trying to have fewer people there, because our whole group would have to stay there that whole time. That makes sense?
Makes sense. I would just need to know what your team numbers are and what.
Eric, that's in the spreadsheet.
Okay, we will. We'll take this offline from this group.
Yes.
and we'll definitely work together with you on that.
2 questions. Lisa, I don't know if I missed this. Will you let us know in advance if you need paper copies of the consent, if what we have on the first website is insufficient?
So I have this little issue with the first website. First has told me that's their privacy data. So I'm going to be kind of going on the record saying what's in the first database is good. They have kind of come down on us hard about partners about going in and getting into too much of each team's privacy, private data. So that's where I'm there. That's where I stand on the first site.
Okay, so maybe just bring a list, a printed copy to be safe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
But
wait,
we're not responsible for any of the first forms, right?
Right.
Okay, so what you need them to have filled out in addition is the Badger Bots.
The
consent
Badger Bots
release.
forms is what we're going to be looking at. We're going to at least be making sure that there are team members and coaches signed up for per team, because that is one thing that's asked on the Badger Bots form is, what's your team name, what's your team number, and are you a coach or a volunteer and stuff.
So
Okay,
I'm still a little bit confused about who signs the consent and release forms. So is it just the team and just the coaches and just the volunteers, or is it also the spectators?
The spectators do not need to sign
Oh, okay.
the consent and release form. It is the teams, the volunteers, and the coach mentors.
Okay, and that's that link that you included in today's missive. Okay,
Yep.
great.
And I will be, and all the tournaments will also be sending that out just to make sure everybody's got the link. I don't want to, we want to make sure that you have access to it and it's, we'll bombard you with it. I'm sorry.
No, because I didn't understand until now. So I'm glad okay, wonderful. Second, is anyone from McGuanago on the call? Do we know if masks will be required for those tournaments?
I can probably say with 95% certainty that the mask will not be required for McGuanago.
Okay. I understand it's not 100%. I just,
That's the last I heard, and I
It all could
I
change.
think that's the lesson I
Yeah.
learned with COVID is everything changes and the minute I say it, it's wrong. So
So Lisa, I'm understanding that there's the additional consent that needs to be signed through BadgerBots.
yes,
So we compete this weekend. What's the latest that can be filled out online, that they'll have that information on Saturday?
Friday.
Okay,
I mean, ideally it would be nicer earlier, but I probably will be going through Saturday morning when I'm there and making sure, I've got stuff from teams.
okay. We'll try to get on it right away.
I understand it takes a few days and that's why I said there will be some paper forms there too.
In the past, we've had to bring like the roster printout too. Is that something still required? Nope. Okay.
Okay, I've never heard of what a BadgerBot is, like, and
So-
this is the first I'm hearing of this consent form thing too, so, and I'm the coach, so like, what do we have to go do now?
So BadgerBots is the official first operational partner for First Lego League. So we're the ones that first connects to and says, hey, you will, create the events, you'll create like the coach calls like this and run the First Lego League program in Wisconsin. So that's that BadgerBots is that entity that does that. And I'm the main contact for that through BadgerBots.
Where do we get these consent forms online to fill out?
So it went out in the newsletter that went out this evening or like 5 o'clock because I was delayed all day doing this, delayed doing something else all day. But if you just send me, well, I can just put it in the chat here too for you guys. How about that?
You got it, otherwise I have it.
Yep, I got it here.
The tournament director should be emailing out too, so.
Okay, so all we have to do paperwork wise is do that consent online. All the kids need to do it and us coaches need to do it.
The-
And that should be everything we would need paperwork wise besides all the stuff
Preferably
the meeting.
parent gardening, guarding,
The gardening parents.
the gardening parent needs to.
The Guardian,
the
Guardians of the
Guardian.
Galaxy.
Yeah, but so the kids, their parents obviously have to fill it out for the kids.
Yep.
Right. But and then as coaches, but that's then the only paperwork or last bit of paperwork that we would need to do to make sure everything's in order.
Yes. And
Okay.
yeah,
And we're sorry for the surprise on this, but this is kind of a big surprise on Lisa too. So
yeah,
she's-
and I had to
she's-
get it through,
Clarifying.
we had to get it through having a lawyer look at it, make sure everything's all good with it, make sure everything looked, so I wanted to make sure it was all good before just putting something out there for you guys.
Okay, Emily, you just asked a lot of clarifying questions. Can you summarize your understanding for me then?
You want me to summarize what I just learned?
Yeah, because I have all the same questions that you have. I'm just not clear on the answers.
Okay, so we just have to go to the newsletter and find the link to then send it to every parent on the team and us coaches to fill out and hit submit, and then we'll be good.
And how would we know if our parents followed through on that?
Well, that's a great question.
Or am I the only one with that problem?
So,
No, you're not. I have that problem too.
I coach a team as well, but I also know that a good chunk of my team, their parents don't have online access. So there is a paper form that is an option. but it's not preferred, but obviously it is available for those scenarios.
So Lisa,
But-
for the people who have that scenario, can they print out the electronic version and just sign that?
I will send you guys I will send out, oh, shoot. I will get a PDF out to you guys in the next 24 hours. Okay, so you can print it out and fill it out.
Right,
Okay,
because
but
all
if
those
let-
parents may not be at the event.
Yep.
If
Exactly.
let's say our parents, so we send it out, all of the parents have online access in our team because we do everything through the Google Classroom. Is there a way for us as coaches to make sure that everybody has submitted the form?
So there is not a way through this system for you guys to have access to it. I hadn't thought about this one.
Can you ask them for a positive? Can you ask the parents to confirm?
I was gonna say
Yeah,
at the
that might
bottom of
be
the
your-
form, there's the confirmation email and the coaches could request that the parents
Yep.
forward that confirmation email.
Okay, so I will just make sure, we'll do it ahead of time, like far ahead of time, and then that way I'll just absolutely make sure every time they drop off a kid, have you filled out your form? And then we'll get there. It's just how we have to roll sometimes.
Yeah, there is a confirmation email like Bill was saying too, so, you know, you could ask to see that. if
Would the-
possible, you know.
Would it be able to have the kids come back to the coaches with their confirmation email, either a printout, and then, how are we as tournament directors checking in that too? But
So you will get an email from me,
Eric,
because I
would
have
you okay
somebody that
if
is
you-
going to be doing that for us.
no
So
problem.
it's going to be nothing but putting together everything and then,
I wear both hats, so I'm trying to.
Eric, would it be okay if we just included a paper copy of that with our own school district permission slip, and we just handed you that stack of forms when we arrived? Or is
If
doing
that's,
it ahead of
if there's
time-
no other, if that's your only option, I believe we'll take that. So, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna prefer that versus trying to have the coaches sign permission slips. We've had other scenarios in the past. If you can gather all that ahead of time and hand it when you come in and check in, that'd be great.
I am not part of a school. Our team is not part of a school. Do we still have to have permission slips?
Everybody's competing needs to, or in the building for the event, I believe, except for guests. But if you're competing or you're a coach, we need the consent and release. So
The
So-
consent and release, but what about a permission slip?
So permission slip is usually for the coaches, is something the schools want, saying it's okay for my kid to do this activity.
So it's not something you
Okay.
guys require?
No.
Okay,
we just need a photo release, basically the consent to participate, and then there's like a photo release agreement. Yep.
Oh, Lisa's going rogue. She's putting her mask.
So when channel 12 is there filming your kids,
Like
they
that.
have permission to use it. That's kind of, we do get media at Marquette. So
Yep.
Just want to say, we went old school. We invited the parents in and we were just there with them. We set up computers for them to use and walk them through the process. And that worked really slick.
Oh, that's actually, that just brought up a good, made me remember something, Bobby. So for teams that are going to be competing and leaving, obviously, we do intend to stream the scoreboard as well. So if you're one of the first teams in and then you're leaving, we intend to stream the scoreboard, as well as at the tournaments where we have access to the software. It's a live page. You can just pull it up on your own phone or your whatever as well. We'll make sure everybody gets that link. So you'll be able to see how your competing teams are doing, or your competitors are doing as well, before closing ceremonies.
so with the fact that the robot tables will have cameras that are being on screens, will that also be broadcasted through some channel? No. So
No,
there's really no way for the kids to see anyone else actually compete, to get a better understanding of what it may
So-
look like for an experienced team.
so here's the deal. We would love to do that. Okay. In a regular year, maybe it's something we could take on and tackle. But some of these venues don't have the access that we would need. With the bandwidth may even be not available to do that. So we do need to keep the tournaments as consistent as possible. We would love to be able to broadcast the feeds from the tables. So, in a
It
good
makes
year,
sense. I was
hopefully.
Wishful thinking.
No, I'm with you. I would love to do that. I would absolutely love to do. And like FRC, how they broadcast theirs. I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but they broadcast their rounds so you can actually see them. So we would love to do that, but it's not something that we can tackle right now. Not even knowing bandwidth inside. We don't even know what we're going to be walking into at some of the events.
It's a huge logistical issue for most schools. So, yeah.
And some of the events, to be honest with you, we already know that there's going to be bandwidth issues. So there are other things we have to tackle right now to make sure we can even do what we need to do now. So, Brian, are you in a rush? Do you need me to make a call for questions for you, or?
No, I think we're generally okay right now.
Okay. So the table is open if anybody has robot game questions as well, or
I'm
anything
going
else.
to put a plea out too for judges and referees.
Yep.
We definitely need a bunch of judges for Marquette both days.
I
I'm
think
assuming you're saying
Riverside.
that-
I think Riverside's good. Yeah, I think that's what I saw.
Yes.
So Riverside's good. If you guys, anybody who actually, if you're even competing at Riverside, please think about volunteering for the other events as well. We really, really need volunteers. So
I'm forcing my daughter to come with me.
good
that
for
week.
you.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got a second judge there.
As a coach,
Appreciate it.
judge, and tournament director, I highly recommend. It's really good for coaches to, at some point, just become a judge and try it. And
Yep.
it really helps you understand the process and ultimately become a better coach. So,
And also understand, kind of tell where your team is, and you get, by seeing other teams, you can, kind of calibrate to, really what's out there. So you're wondering, kind of know how you're doing, but you don't really get the visibility of other teams otherwise.
Hey, Brian, this is Patrick Pula, the coach, new coach here. I'm volunteer. I am a volunteer for this weekend's competition. You can add me to the next one. You can place me wherever you need me, and just let me know where I need to show up.
Well, I'd ask that if you can go into the first system and add yourself.
Okay. Oh, I can do that. Okay. Good. Let me know what you
Absolutely
say. I
do
can
that.
Yeah.
That way you can
Alright.
figure out which ones work for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll
Okay.
put you in all of them. You
So-
and I will be
Oh, well,
driving
I
up
mean,
by
no,
Bobby
hold
and
on.
everything.
So
I'll just do it.
So the next weekend, is Marquette and Lakeshore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes. I don't know how
that's-
Lakeshore is doing. I know Marquette's in need.
usually is always, but we will. We definitely are putting a plea out for all volunteers.
Oh, getting your judging sheets back is what you're asking about, Jen?
Yeah,
So those will be scanned and sent to you via email. Any awards that you win will be printed out and cardstock and actually physically, snail mail to you, or whatever the word of the day is for that.
I have to go out your map. Yeah, I think it's 290 miles from me. So something like that.
A little bit of a drive.
Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Bobby promised coffee and cookies or cake. Cookies, right? Cookies.
So with Flambeau, though, is that like in northern Wisconsin or western, or where, like what
Yeah.
just direction?
North of Highway 29,
Okay,
Green Bay,
East
Green
of-
Bay to Chippewa
but near
Falls.
Green Bay, not Wausau. Green Bay side, not Wausau side.
But we're farther west than Wausau.
Oh, farther west.
Think-
So,
think
but not
like towards
quite
Eau Claire.
Okay. See, I know Wisconsin. I just don't know all the little towns. So with the volunteering, I know you're not supposed to volunteer at the event you're doing, but with how everything is split up, could we volunteer for a different time slot? But in the same building, so we're not anywhere near our team. Our team wouldn't be allowed in the building at that hour. Would that be
So,
possible?
we really would like judges there the entire time, seeing teams, and then that helps with the deliberation process later.
But even like for like just like setting up the tables and stuff or whatever, like, I don't know. I just,
Well, okay, so if you want to volunteer for some other time, for like general volunteer, that's fine. For judging, I really want them there the whole time.
Yeah, I think for practice tables and queuing and stuff like that, that's probably okay. But we wouldn't want you to obviously referee either any of your competitors. But anything else?
So it happens, I mean, you have to recuse yourself from
Right.
commenting on teams and stuff like that, if your team's there. So and really, we want you supporting your team.
right, no, that makes sense. I just figure if they needed more volunteers to like help set up or take down or just whatever.
General volunteers, that'd be fine.
Okay,
That lends itself better to shift stuff like that. But you get into referees and judges, and they're really helpful if they can be consistent throughout the days.
yeah,
or
that
throughout
makes
the day.
sense. And you can't judge your competition, right? So
We don't want you to. We really want you supporting your team.
Right. Exactly.
Right, table's kind of open for any questions for any topic, so fire away.
Yeah, I mean, we already got geography going.
So what date is Flambeau? Since I'm just asking about Flambeau a bunch.
Oh, that's December 11th.
No, I might be able to volunteer for that.
Did this get answered? Is Marquette at Marquette High School? That's my
The
answer.
answer is
Okay.
yes on that
Sorry,
one.
I'm a little slow.
No, it is. We didn't answer, but yes,
okay.
it is.
Yeah, Marquette University High School, corner of 35th and Capitol, or 35th and Wisconsin.
So that's not Capital. That's a little ways away from Capital.
Right, sorry, yeah. 34th in Michigan is where the door is. We're gonna have a different entrance this year though too. So it's yeah, we're gonna be taking teams in a different way. They're using other parts of the building, so. But there will be signage and we'll have people helping direct traffic and we'll provide a map ahead of time to all the teams, so.
Awesome. All right, anybody else? Lisa, did you have any other information we needed to give out? We already kind of did the please volunteer.
No, that was my agenda. I'm done with my agenda for tonight.
Okay. No robot game question tonight. Come on, I'm getting off easy.
This might be a first.
Yeah, it is a first.
Okay.
Someone looking for suggestions in hotels in the Milwaukee
Peggy,
area.
you got to have a complicated one for me. I know you do.
I have one that
I knew
the
you
ref
did.
had suggested, and I didn't look up to see if he was right. So the kids went to push that what is it, MO2, the unused capacity, and it got stuck half on the mat, half off the mat.
Yep.
And he thought that we might be able to take it in, lose a precision token, but fill it and get the points for it. I'm thinking that's wrong.
I think it is wrong.
Okay.
I'm going to get it real quick, but I believe because it's a mission model, if you touch it, it has to come off the table.
That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
No precision token, if I'm remembering right.
No
But
precision
you lose
token.
the model,
You lose the model, yeah.
and therefore absolutely no way to score it, I'm assuming.
Correct. I
Now
thi-
we can translate that for all of us newbies.
Say that one more time.
And now can you translate everything you just said for us newbies? I don't know what
Yeah.
any of that meant.
Yeah, let me grab the verbiage because that was actually updated in a rule update. So that's probably why he didn't catch that one right off. So the question is the M2, the unused capacity. So if you're looking at the mat, it sits just north of the arc, like 4 inches out of the arc, right? So the question was, if that gets stuck halfway in and halfway out, are you able to bring that in by hand and fill it and use it and just get penalized a precision token? Okay, so there was an update. Of course, that's the one I didn't pull.
It's 34 centimeters from the south wall, by the way.
Are there times when you can use your hands and lose a precision token? I didn't know that that was even something they were allowed to do.
Typically, no. So I'm going to pull the rule and read it because, like I said, it was an update. So stranded cargo, partly in home. Teams may remove former cargo that rests partly in home by hand at any time. That's former cargo. Okay. If the object removed was a mission model, it must be given to the referee for the remainder of the match. If the object was equipment, it must be taken into home and the team will lose 1 precision token. So if it's equipment that's stranded, they can take it into home, they get to keep it, and they lose a precision token.
So what you mean is if it was part of their robot, they can remove it.
Yeah, so just to be clear,
Part of the board, they cannot, right?
So we're dealing with 3 different terms here. So mission model is anything that is on the table when you get there. So anything that's part of a field element is a mission model or a field element. Anything that's equipment is anything that your team brings with you. And cargo is anything that is being strategically transported. So
can I say cargo is the loose items that are on the table?
So cargo is anything that's being strategically transported. Cargo can be a mission model or equipment.
Organization project.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they could have something that they are okay, got it.
Yeah. So if people are listening on YouTube, or if you guys don't understand exactly what I was just saying, feel free to ask, or people on YouTube that can't ask, we're quoting from update 6 in the challenge guide.
Okay, so we had a similar scenario, but it was with the platooning truck.
Yep.
And they told us that because so we accidentally took it to home because the robot got caught on it, which wasn't even the plan. But they said that then we could take it, and because it was halfway in home, bring it all the way in home. So then our robot could relaunch without it being in the window of their way.
So the issue that you guys had was you launched with it as cargo, right? From home?
No, it was sitting on the board.
Okay.
And our robot was coming back home and accidentally just caught it, and it just dragged it into home with it, but not completely 100% of the way.
Okay.
And then the ref said we could take it into home since it was partly in home. And we were like, I didn't know if we could or not. So.
Okay. So the one that was on the table, that is a mission model as well. So that is the exact same scenario that we just went through. That would have to be given to the referee if it was partly in home. It should not be brought into home and scored.
Okay, so they told us incorrectly, so my gut was right.
They told you incorrectly, but please do remember that that person, that was the first time they'd ever seen a board. So.
Oh yeah, no, it's nice that stuff like that happens because it makes you think.
Yeah.
Like, because I didn't know, our kids didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. The ref said one thing, we listened to the ref, and that's fine, and it was done. But then we're like, maybe we should ask about that.
So that is my question, Emily. Is it okay for the kids, when in doubt, something happens, okay, when in doubt, hands up, ask what they're allowed to do and what the consequences will be, right?
During your match?
Right, yep.
They can feel free to ask. There's not going to be a lot of time because the time doesn't stop. The referee will be glad to talk to the children as long as they want to talk, but we don't want to waste their time.
Got it. But if they want to say, can I pick that up? Let them know if they can or can't.
Yes. And just so we're clear, if you guys come across referees that are not quite sure what to do, there's a head referee that should be watching. And then if they don't know what to do, the scores would be given benefit of the doubt to the kids. So if there's any question about, okay, I'm not sure what to do here, the scores go to the kids. So that being said, we have referee training as well this week. So we're going to go through hopefully all the referees that we have signed up. And we're going to sit down and go through all of our rule books and determine how we're all interpreting and make sure we're all on the same page as much as possible. So hopefully you're going to get, pretty consistent experience, but there'll be times when it's not. We'll have people that referee that, we needed help, called for referees, and they haven't gotten all the training that everybody else did. We'll try to get them caught up, but at all the tournaments, there should be a head referee watching and making sure as much as possible, no mistakes.
And most of the tournaments will have either Jay or Jeff at them also, which then that's the next layer, because they're the state of Wisconsin.
So do you have an age minimum for referees or judges? Since this is our league, I think it only goes up to 8th grade. I certainly could put it out to our high schoolers who may need service hours that they could.
Yeah, so 16 for referees and then 18 for judges. We do prefer, 18 and out of high school for judges, unless Brian wants to change.
Oh, that's correct.
There's some opportunity for some of the other kids for practice tables, stuff like that. So if you have kids that are, teenagers and don't quite make the age for referee, I think that monitoring practice table sign-ins, table resetting, some queuing, stuff like that. There's opportunities to be had there.
Putting out to high schoolers would help you with your referee judge.
High schoolers are perfect for refereeing. Suggestions from hotels in the Milwaukee area. There's tons of them.
Depends which tournament you're going to, I would say. But
Marquette. She's going to Marquette.
if you're going to Marquette, there's a number of airports around number of hotels around the airport that are decent.
I thought you had more airports.
No, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't, if being a coach, I wouldn't spend the extra money at a downtown hotel. It's just you're adding a price premium that you probably don't need to add to that cost. But there are a number of, hotel chains around the area that are very decent. And
Brookfield and Waukesha aren't that far away either.
Exactly. So
they're just pretty much due west of the venue.
Yep.
About 20 minutes.
Yeah, there shouldn't be a big shortage. I don't think there's anything else that I know of in town those weeks. And Milwaukee was gearing up for the DNC last year, so they have a lot of beds available, and I don't think it's too busy for anything right now. So, but I agree. I would probably go, a little bit out of town for that.
There's a lot of activities to do in the town, so I mean,
for sure,
you definitely get that. But
yeah, check what's going on at the theater, Bobby. I know you're big on the theater. We do have the Paps down here too, so see what's playing down there. There might be something you want to see.
Just saw Wicked on Sunday at Appleton. That was
there you go.
Okay,
right.
we have another question over here. So in the inspection area, everything needs to fit inside of this inspection area in the start. Is there a height limit on the inspection area?
Yeah, it's 12. Go ahead. I'll let you finish your question.
Oh, I was going to say, so it's 12 inches. And then, but underneath the 12 inches, can things be stacked on top of each other as long as they stay under 12 inches?
Yes, you can also hold it by hand during the inspection. Let me be clear. It's got to be on the table, but if you need to contain it by hand, as long as it fits in the small inspection area and is under 12 inches, you get the bonus for that. If it doesn't fit there, you can go to the large inspection area. There's no bonus points for that, but you're allowed to check in inspection there as well. I've never seen a robot that's used that's too big for that area.
For that new update on the sorting center, if the team isn't planning to do that mission, do they need to have their 3 setups figured out, or
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, we have to still, honestly, we have to figure out a way to track that on our side too. And I don't think honestly, I don't think we've talked about that since the scrimmage, so. We'll figure out a way to track it, and you guys will just set it this way, or if you say we're not doing that, it doesn't matter, then we'll just probably leave it.
I have a question. What's a good average score goal for a team?
I'll let the coaches answer that because we don't do scoring at the tables. I can't even tell you what the scores were last weekend, so. Let's go with Jen. What's a good score?
Oh, are you asking me?
Yeah.
The best we did last weekend was 310.
Okay.
Jeez.
Peggy doesn't want to answer.
We got a 260, so
There you go.
they beat us.
No. Oh, good Lord. Okay.
I should mention that our worst score was 155. So huge range there. Huge range.
Okay. That's making me feel a little bit better. And also, has there been a team that did all of the missions? I'm afraid to ask. I'm hoping for
So we've only had one scrimmage this year. I have yet to see probably in any of the seasons. Well, I have never seen, and I've been doing this for quite a while. I've never seen a team complete a whole board in 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
It's almost designed so you can't do that. I mean, from what I've seen, it's just not.
I've seen thousands of matches. And
I've been
never
to
seen that
world,
happen.
seen the world
Yeah.
level team. The
Yeah.
world level teams don't complete the board. Long ago, years ago, that was the case, and actually, John Waniger's team completed the board and won the World Festival. That's who is the head coach at Marquette University High School. So, yeah, they did it, but that was early on in the program, where really early. But yeah, I think they've really designed the boards now that you have to have a good strategy to get your best number of points, but I don't think there's a technical or a physical way that you can get everything done.
Thank you.
I think we saw a team from Japan on our international one last year. At least it was way beyond blowing us out of the water with points. So, and they blew everyone else. Somehow they managed it, but they had this giant contraption that I can't even imagine what was in there.
It's very rare. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, and I've been to world festivals and watched a number of top level teams, and they aren't completing everything, but they're getting close. But in that 2 minutes 30 seconds, it's a struggle.
And really, the right answer for your team is to solve the missions they can. It's really about how much they learn and what they can get figured out.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's just the competitive side of me and
Yeah.
failing as a coach.
It's only 1/4 of your, assessment as a team.
Yeah, and I have to say that is what kept our team. I mean, when our robot broke, like right before the scrimmage, and we had to figure it out on the table how to fix it, it was that mention of, this is only 1/4 of your score, pull it together, it'll be okay. You still can affect 75% of your score. You can do this, was huge. So just make sure you put that in perspective for the team, especially if one of the sections goes bad, they just need to persevere and make it through the rest. Does that make sense? And that can be really, really, my daughter's like, she's in the car with me. But I mean, that is the key with this like speed tournament, is just keeping them focused on, even if something gets bad, you just need to pick yourself up and keep on going, because it goes so fast. Like the scrimmage went so fast compared to any other tournament, even the virtual ones that we did last year.
Yeah, that 2.5 minutes hits a lot different when you're under pressure and not on your own home field. So,
and okay, if you're a new coach, you may do great back at the practice field, okay, but under pressure in a competition, okay, It's not uncommon to have some stinker rounds. Okay, it's normal. Okay, expect it. It's just part of how it goes at all the levels. We have the same problem at FRC level. Okay, it's, you know, some things that go like they expect, and other ones it's like, I don't understand what just happened. But
It is,
get them to be resilient.
it's part of the experience. It is.
Well, also there are minor changes in, you know, every table you're on, you know, there's minor imperfections in the tables, and you know, some models are tighter than others because they haven't been used as much. And I hear it every tournament that this works every time at our field at home. And we don't understand why it's not working here. And there could be any amount of answers for that. I've had teams tell us that before, and then you know, they go look at the table and say this is built wrong. They've been practicing on incorrectly built models at their home table for the whole season. So the team should be prepared. It's actually even in the first handbook. The team should be prepared to overcome the minor imperfections, you know. So
We had that very thing happen. I don't know when I can't remember how many weeks ago they built the table builds, but last week when they went on and tried to do a mission, I'm like, this doesn't look right. And we went back and got the book out, and they had built something upside down and backwards.
Yep.
And so it just happens, but at least they realize that something was wrong, you know.
we went to a team last year. We went and visited a team last year who had probably 7 out of the 15 models built incorrectly. So yeah. Thanks, Bill. See you later. So yeah, you know, I can give you guys a piece of advice. And teams may not know this. I'm kind of curious at the new coaches. So there are light kits on the competition fields. We actually have fluorescent lights over top of the fields. So I understand that the Spike Primes don't have too much of an issue with calibration using external light, but do be prepared if you're using an EV3 to make sure you're calibrating or know how to calibrate your sensors on the competition boards. So.
And know to tell your kids to watch for that pole when they're used to sliding stuff across the whole
Yeah.
So I don't want to take anybody's time on this meet, but I don't quite understand what you mean, because we are using the EV3s.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure, like, I apologize. Like I said, not only am I new, the person who was doing it is just completely gone. So I'm learning as we go. So if anybody would have another time that they wouldn't mind meeting with me to give me some, to explain what you mean about like how we calibrate the sensors and why that would need to happen, I'd really appreciate it.
So there's a few answers there. We've already made calls for anybody with any questions that are pressing. So we're just kind of doing cleanup here. I'm happy to stay on as long as you want to stay on and answer any of these questions that I can. Anybody that needs to drop can drop. So we're here for you. Are you on the Slack channel?
No.
Highly suggest you join the Slack channel. Almost everyone here, yeah, but the majority of people here are on the Slack channel, and there's a coach to coach channel that you can talk to these guys directly. There's also one for judging questions specifically. You can ask Brian and he'll get to it as soon as he can. And for referee, yeah, Emily, thanks. The Slack channel and YouTube are amazing. They are. It has become a great resource for us, and you can talk to people sometimes in real time, you know, if they're not busy. So we do check it as often as we can.
All right, we've been using the YouTube. I don't know about a Slack channel.
Perfect. I would highly suggest you check it out. Ask questions. I know Emily has asked a lot, and some of the other people here as well. And it's actually kind of fun to watch the camaraderie as well, even when they're at tournaments and talking back and forth to each other. So, oh, I guess I should tell you how to get to that. Let me make sure. It should be in the newsletter. You're getting the newsletter?
I am now. I was, then I wasn't. Now I am again.
Okay, so in the newsletter, I'm going to make sure it's there. There should be a link for you to join the Slack channel. You don't have to, but that is the quickest way to talk to people. Like I said, we do specifically have a channel there for coach to coach.
Just Don't interrupt me, please.
I have a question about scoring. I totally understand how the robot game is scored, and I understand how to use the judging rubric. But if the robot game is worth, let's say I think somebody added up maximum 600 some points. When I look at the judging rubric, it's like 1 through 5 for a couple of items. So that's not equating in my brain to 75% if you just add numbers together. So where am I missing the math there?
Yeah, so what it works is each area is 25%. Okay, so core values, innovation project, robot design, and then the robot game. And it's really your rank, okay, in each of those based on the other teams that determine is really how it ends up figuring out. So it's really where you are ranked, not how many points you make. So if you're ranked 5th, you're 5 in that area. Okay.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for explaining that.
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna post an invite link to here. I clicked the one in the Slack channel on the newsletter, and it looks like it's expired.
Yep, it says inactive. Thank you.
Okay, so did that go? So that should get you there, and I'll also make sure we update the one. I think they automatically expire after 30 days, so we'll make sure we update the one. So anybody that's watching on YouTube, I will try to remember to put this link in the description. If it is not, just go to your newsletter, reply back to the newsletter, and that goes directly to Lisa. It's FLL Teams with an S at wi-first.org. And that'll go to Lisa, and she'll make sure you get, I did it right, didn't I, Lisa?
You did.
I was reading it, so I kind of cheated. That'll get you, we'll get you a good link for it.
On that Slack channel, am I creating a workspace or am I joining one that's existing somewhere?
You're joining one that exists already?
So it's taking me into that link is taking me to create.
Hmm.
All right, let me just invite you.
No, I did the. Yeah, I did the copy invite. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, they expire after so often, every
Yeah.
so often, and it's.
We'll make sure you get in, and anybody, like I said, anybody that is not getting a good link, just reply back and we'll get you in.
Hey, Lisa,
Angela,
when you actually get,
I'm inviting you.
when you do the link, you can actually request it to never expire.
I was just looking for that.
I will look at.
So if you,
I will
yeah,
look for
so if you
that.
click on coaches, invite people, edit link settings right next to copy invite link.
See, that's the one I just copied as well.
If you select on that, you can go down to
Never
never
expires.
expires.
Uh-huh.
I'll let you do that so you can do the copy.
All right. Do you guys have any other questions while we're getting Slack worked out here?
Try that.
Well, that looks a lot nicer than mine.
You know, it's me.
Oh, you know what? Mine pasted twice. It nested together. I see. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to ask any questions you guys want. Post on Slack, send direct emails to us. If you have a question, reply back, and Lisa will send the email to wherever it needs to go, either to Jeff or myself or Brian, or she'll get you the answers for whatever you guys need.
I'll make
hopefully.
up the answers. So I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
we do that sometimes. Oh, please do check your updates the week before tournament. So they usually come out on Tuesdays. So if you're going to a competition on Saturday, just check your updates on the Tuesday or Wednesday there.
That was a
And-
good thing to do no matter what.
Yeah, we used to do it before every practice. That's a smart thing to do.
The only other thing I have to say, thank you guys so much. This was very, very helpful. Just the request, if we can know as soon as possible that our 2.5 hour time block, because in order to get out permission slips and to order our buses, and as we all know, buses and drivers are hard to come by, so I have to know what time before they'll reserve our bus for us, so.
Eric's on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're working on that this weekend. We'll be, like I said, I'm trying to get it out by Monday. All the schedules,
Yeah.
if not earlier. So
I
actually,
organize forensic meets. I know how bad, I know how hard it is. I'm not trying to push that.
yep. Yeah. So it's my goal is to have it all published by Monday. Which day are you on?
We're already on the 14th, so we're less than
Or
2
your
weeks away
Sunday.
from the
Okay. All right. Yeah, again, that's a different tournament director. I'm gonna double check with him. So, but yeah, we'll probably we'll be working to have both schedules out. Saturday.
Oh,
Friday.
you're the 13th for Marquette?
I am yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm overseeing both.
Okay.
I normally run both, but I'm trying to get a new tournament director onboarded. So
Can somebody get some heat for Bobby? She looks awfully cold.
She's way up north. They probably have snow. Did you guys get snow last night, Bobby?
We got it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some, just, flurries, whatever.
no.
But
All right.
I walked in, my team met tonight, and plus my esports team meets on Tuesdays. So I just flew in the house and sat down and brought up the meat. So I haven't gone and turned on my heat yet. So.
Oh, jeez. All right. Last call, guys. Questions. Anything at all? Emily, you have anything else?
Did you just ask if I have more questions?
Yes. Hey, I'm happy. I'm happy
there
to
was
answer your
one
questions.
more my son had. It was in the airdrop. We had seen somewhere in the Slack channel that it might be a good idea to contain the bounce. Does the airdrop food package from the other team's helicopter have to touch your table, or can it fall into a container you have built?
It can fall into a container you have built.
Okay, so it doesn't have to actually touch the table when they let go.
No.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
I highly suggest you do build a container. It doesn't hurt anything, right? Because it's already going to fall into your home space. So you're allowed to put anything over there you want. So I would absolutely contain it. I mean, will it bounce? It could. Haven't seen it bounce yet, but it could bounce.
But then no, I don't have any more questions after that today.
Okay. Well, you know how to get a hold of us. So
Yep.
we're happy to answer questions. I'm not teasing you at all. I mean, we are happy to, this is why we do it. So. All right. No more questions. I think we're done. Anything else, Lisa?
No.
All right.
Go forth and have a great night.
All right, Eric. See ya.
See
Bye,
ya.
Bobby.
Bye.
Bye.
TJ.